Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Run It Back. We are back. The gang is here. And I kind of just, me and Schubert were like, wait, Ian, you never watched this movie? Oh, instant, we're reviewing this.
No, it was, I think, like in the last one, you had made a reference to Kaiser Soze.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. I made a Kaiser Soze reference in the pod because I told Ian that Blake Griffin Kaiser Soze'd the Detroit Pistons. Do you now understand what that means?
Makes a lot more sense. I think you went into a fit of rage when you saw my eyes glaze over because I didn't understand what was going on. And I think that's what we were having, like, multiple conversations about where we should go next. And immediately we just cut it off and said, yeah, we're watching this movie. I'm glad we did.
It had to be done. But there's a conversation that has to be had. Look, we're going to have it now. We have to have it. And let me take off my funny voice so people know I'm serious. This movie has two people tied to it that are very problematic people. Not just problematic, they're just monsters. They're nasty, nasty men with Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer. Now, I do feel that you're able to separate the art from the artist unless the two are so intertwined that you can't, like a R. Kelly. Like, I'm not going to be reviewing any R. Kelly albums on any of my platforms, because when you listen to R. Kelly albums, he talking about the women that he did that to, and it's just some nasty shit. My mind's telling me no, but my body, that is some gross shit when you think about it. So it's like, nah, can't separate that art from that artist. But with this, there's so many people attached to this that deserve to be celebrated. Christopher McQuarrie, for one, who is my big champion of this. Benicio del Toro. You get Gabriel Byrne and Stephen Baldwin having their best movies. We get Kevin Pollak and Charles Palmetieri, who I freaking loved. And there's just so much about this movie that deserved praise, and we can't be a movie review show and not review this movie. This movie has to be talked about. There's going to be two other Kevin Spacey movies that we're going to have to talk about, one being LA Confidential and the other being Seven. Those are just two movies we're going to have to do. Now, Bryan Singer, I don't think we're doing another Bryan Singer movie. Unless Schubert, like, convinced me to do an X-Men movie, I don't think we're doing another Bryan Singer movie. But I'll let y'all go. I just wanted to get that out there. If y'all have anything to add, you're more than welcome to. I just feel like this is a movie that needs to be talked about, and we can we can acknowledge the fact that Bryan Singer is a monster and a horrible person, and Kevin Spacey is a monster and a horrible person, and still talk about what makes this movie great.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy who had only ever seen Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, leading up to his, public demise, it was weird watching this movie, like thinking, okay, Kevin Spacey's a horrible scumbag, and then you kind of see how the movie goes. I don't know, we'll get to that, but I kind of played into that whole
see, that's
theme.
Interesting. So have you seen Seven before?
I've not.
Oof.
I stopped watching Kevin Spacey things after the whole thing happened. I was like, fuck this guy. God. I don't need to see any of this guy's stuff anymore. Obviously, I was wrong. Hurts. This is a great movie.
My stomach hurts that he hasn't seen Seven. And I know Schubert's stomach hurts because I'm going to make us watch that long-ass movie.
Is this a 2+ hour movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
but
Schubert.
It's like,
I should have kept my mouth shut.
But I mean, like, it's the quintessential crime serial killer movie.
It's amazing. And we're gonna save this because I think that's gonna be interesting to see. One more question: have you seen Zodiac?
Are you talking about? Oh no, I'm thinking of the Dirty Harry movie. I think.
No, not the Dirty Harry movie. There's a Dirty Harry movie inside of this movie where Mark Ruffalo. But it's with Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr. and we can save Seven. That'll be next. But we're here to talk right now about Usual Suspects, and let's get into it. We like we said, both these dudes are problematic. They're horrible people, but we're here to celebrate Christopher McQuarrie, Benicio del Toro, Gabriel Byrne, Stephen Baldwin,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito, but we just have to talk about these people just because, not Singer. No need to talk about Singer because I don't even think really the direction was the best part of this movie. I really think the best part of this movie in terms of the background was the script and was the acting. That's why Spacey's hard to like. We got to talk about him, but Singer we can definitely gloss over. Now, what were y'all's your initial thoughts when seeing this movie? I'll start with you, Ian, because this is the first time you've seen it.
I thought the first 15-ish, 20-ish minutes of the movie, I was like, wow, this is going to be an awful movie. I'm going to hate this movie because I didn't really understand what was going on at first. Really up until they get to like the lawyer, Kobayashi stuff with what was going on there. I thought the initial storyline was kind of rushed. There's a lot of jumping back and forth between their initial arrest and the boat scene and the scene where Kevin Spacey's character is in the office with the police.
With Cujo.
It was too much jumping around for me at the beginning, but I kind of picked it up, around that time with the lawyer being introduced, Kobayashi.
And now, Schubert, I want to ask you because I feel like, to Ian's point, this movie is better on a rewatch. Like watching this, I was like, whoa! Like in my scenes when I wrote down when Verbal Kint sits down in the beginning and he's in that office Kujan is, and you're like, and he's looking around and he looks all the way in the back and you're like. He looks at everything and you're like, oh my gosh, he just made up the story. And it's like, this fucking monster. And it's just like, we're on this roller coaster. And then there's like just so many little moments leading up to that where it's like, ooh, this is happening. This is happening. What'd you think of the movie on your rewatch?
No, I mean, I kind of think that you make a good point there because in my initial time watching it, I think I was in a lot the same thought process as Ian. I was like, I just don't know if I'm vibing with this. Once he does get to the Kobayashi part, you kind of start to feel it pick up the pace a little bit, but just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I don't get it. Like,
I appreciated the Redfoot stuff so much more than that. Like in this rewatch, like I appreciated all like the little early bank heist, like the NYPD taxi stuff. Like that was some crazy shit. Like, there's a lot that I appreciate in this movie on the rewatch because you have to have these other moments to make them this all-star cast of criminals who this guy Kaiser Soze wants to hire because they're the only people who can get this done.
Yeah, I think that kind of shines through a little bit better on the rewatch because you're kind of understanding what each little thing means and what it's leading to. But in the first initial time, you could think like, what is going on here? Like, why are we seeing all these like flashbacks?
Yeah.
But and then you're kind of confused about Verbal for pretty much the entire movie. And the first time you watch, just like why this guy? Like this guy's why is he even with a part of this group? Stuff like that.
Yep. It's crazy. And so I think this movie's like again very well acted. Very well written, and I like the score a lot. Like the theme song, super eerie, but like not scary movie eerie. Like ooh, what's going on in the background? What's happening here? And really enjoyed this. If y'all have any other initial thoughts, let me know. If not, we will get into background, the best scenes, and the rest of the show if y'all don't have anything else.
I forgot Benicio del Toro was in the movie because, he doesn't play too much of a part at the end. But so like when I first saw him up on the screen, I was like, that dude? Oh, yeah. And then like just coming off seeing No Sudden Move, you're like, man, this guy's just in all sorts of these movies.
He kills at these movies. He's absolutely amazing. That's why when we discuss who won the movie and who lost the movie, it's another hard one. And Six Man, look, I ain't accepting nobody but one person as the Six Man. One person. There's only one person I'm allowed to be the Six Man. Maybe a second person, but that's jumping the gun.
He's probably referring to like a third starter or something, like someone who's like the third guy in the big three.
No, it's none of the people in the crew. Zero of the crew members. It's I promise you that, sir. So, all right, let's get into the background. The background is as follows. The Usual Suspects is a 1995 neo-noir mystery thriller film directed by Bryan Singer and written by Christopher McQuarrie. It stars Stephen Baldwin, Gabriel Byrne, Benicio del Toro, Kevin Pollak, Chaz Palminteri, Pete Postlewaite, and Kevin Spacey. The plot follows the interrogation of rogue Verbal Kint, small-time con man who is one of the only 2 survivors of a massacre and fire on a ship docked at the port of Los Angeles. Through flashback and narration, Kint tells an interrogator a convoluted story of events that led him and his criminal companions to the boat in a mysterious crime lord known as Kaiser Soze, who controlled them. The film was shot on a $6 million budget. Began as a title taken from a column in Spy magazine called The Usual Suspects after one of Claude Rains' most memorable lines in the classic film Casablanca, and they thought this would be a good title for a movie. The film was brought out to Cannes. It initially released in a few theaters. It received favorable reviews and then got a wide release. Christopher McQuarrie won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Spacey won for Best Supporting Actor. And the Writers Guild of America ranked this film as having the 35th greatest screenplay of all time. Shout out to Christopher McQuarrie for that. Gabriel Byrne, just funny, just like some little interesting as Dean Keaton. Kevin Spacey met Byrne at a party and asked him to do the film. He read the screenplay, turned it down, thinking that filmmakers cannot pull it off. Byrne met with Christopher McQuarrie and was impressed with the latter vision of the film. However, Byrne was also dealing with some personal problems at the time, backed out for 24 hours until filmmakers agreed to shoot in Los Angeles, where Byrne lived, and made it in 5 weeks. Also, Benicio del Toro was not supposed to be in this movie. Kevin Spacey actually suggested him because the character was originally written for a Harry Dean Stanton type of actor. And Del Toro met with the casting director and told him that he did not want to audition because he didn't feel comfortable doing them. After reading the script, Del Toro realized that his character's only purpose was to be killed and to demonstrate Soze's power, and did not have any meaningful impact on the story. As a result, Del Toro developed Fincher's unique garbled speech pattern to make him more memorable as a character. And I think that worked out for the better, because when you watch this, it's like Fincher really he doesn't really do anything, but he's one of the most memorable people in the movie, because without him, you don't get the motivations of, say, McManus going crazy at the end and shit like that. So, but let's get into, with that being said,
one background thing I always like to look, especially for a movie like this that did get 2 Oscar wins, didn't get nominated for Best Picture. Who was up against that year? It was the 68th Oscars, 1996. The nominees were Sense and Sensibility, The Postman, Babe, Apollo 13, and Braveheart. And Braveheart won.
Braveheart's I think this could have been movie.
Well, I mean, this should have won. Saying, it could have been nominated. Could it not have been nominated over Babe?
It definitely should have been nominated. It definitely should have been nominated. And I'm with you. I am more of a fan of this movie over Babe. I think this is a better movie than Braveheart. I think this is a better movie than Apollo 13. At least more interesting and compelling to me, in my opinion. Ian, where do you fall in line in that?
Despite Babe's childish charm, I think this was a better movie than that one, at least. I could see how Braveheart would get the nod over this.
Apollo 13.
I like Apollo 13. Apollo 13 has a warm spot in my heart. But that's probably,
I don't know if we'll ever review Apollo 13 on this show. Maybe.
No, that's fine. It's not like an all-time great in my mind, but it is a good movie.
I think it's an all-time great, and when it comes to realistic space movies.
True. I'll concede that. That is very fair. And
how many realistic space movies are there, though? There's only so many trips to space. Even
I'm talking about movies kind of like Gravity.
I knew that's where he was going with it.
That. With
Astra,
astronauts.
Ad Astra's kind of futuristic.
Yeah, it's a little more futuristic. I'm just saying, I wouldn't compare Apollo 13 to Interstellar.
Interstellar, yeah, more like First Man,
The Martian,
Gravity, that type of shit. And Ryan Gosling's a perpetrator of making some of those trash movies, but I digress. This cast, incredible cast, and I like the people they filled it out with, Dan Hedaya as Jeff Rabin, the guy that's with Kuyan, who's the sergeant who's trying to talk Kuyan out of it. Great actor. Like Schubert said earlier, you got Giancarlo Esposito. Clark Gregg, better known as Agent Coulson in the Marvel Universe, is one of the doctors, which I thought was very interesting. And then from Paul Postlewhite, Benicio del Toro, Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, Chaz Palminteri, and Gabriel Byrne is just incredible. So I started this off with best scenes. I said the opening scene when Keaton sees Kaiser and chuckles. Ian wouldn't have caught this, but this is a Schubert and me thing. When you see Keaton chuckle, it's like, oh shit, Verbal, you're Kaiser. Fuck you, bro. I'm just dying. It's over with. And you don't know why at first, but when rewatching is because it's like, damn, man, he got played. Dude gets shot. And I was like, I appreciate this opening scene a lot more now than I did when I first saw it.
Yeah, definitely. I felt the same way.
Well, the opening scene threw me for a loop because it kept panning over to like this random assortment of like ropes and shit. And I was like, okay, there's got to be someone like in the ropes. Like, there's no reason that they're just panning over these ropes.
There was someone, but there really wasn't. And that's a question that I have to ask y'all about. Like, we might as well do it now. Do we believe the way that events happen that Verbal told them? Because Verbal's not a reliable narrator at all. That lawyer's name is not Kobayashi. All that shit he made up. Do we believe?
I mean, if we're skipping right to the end, then I don't think you can take anything that he said at. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to fuck with you, but I don't think you can take anything that he said at that point as, you know, truth. You know, he made up the entire story from the names of the associate that he was working with to the locations that they met at. I mean, I think at that point you have to disregard everything he said. And if you're one of those cops on the case, you kind of got to start from scratch at that point. Like, everything that you had up until that point was built off of Kevin Spacey's character's, you know, version of events. And then the only other version of events was that Hungarian guy in the hospital who you're getting from a third party translator. So
exactly. So everything
at that point, you're kind of back to square one.
We don't know if we don't know if McManus and them did all that shit. Like that could be all made up. But I fuck with it because it's did it happen? Did it not happen? We'll talk more about that. And I'll ask y'all point blank, do you think it happened? Do you think it done a little bit later? The next scene I got is the gathering of the crew by the police. Kujan was a dick to Keaton. I thought that was hilarious. Ruined that man's shot at business. Was just the Frenchmen were like, what's going on? What is this police shit? And he's like, nah, chill. And Kujan was like, yeah, he stole some guns. I was like, whoa.
The French guys are like, sacre bleu.
I was like, fuck you.
And he didn't
Kujan.
even do it.
He didn't do it. That's the fucked up thing. And then the next thing I have is
Kevin Pollak did it.
Yeah. The next thing I have after that is the lineup shot with hand me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker. And the thing that's hilarious about that is when Benicio said it, he farted, and that's why everybody laughed, but they kept it in because it worked really well with that.
Could you hear it in the like? I wasn't really paying much attention.
I don't know if you could
pick
hear
up
it
on the mic,
but I know that's why they all started chuckling, and then after it looks like a different take almost. Or they kind of calmed down. But I thought that was hilarious. Hand me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker. Hilarious. And yeah, that's the scene I have. Any other things I missed in between there that y'all might have picked up on or that y'all liked?
I think the funny thing, especially about Benicio's character, is how he like has that mumble mouth or whatever. And so like when he says, "Give me the keys, you motherfucker," they're like, "English." And like the whole time, it's just like I'm glad I had the subtitles on because there are things he would be saying where you just be like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah."
Those cops were Stephen A. Smith with Shohei Ohtani. Ooh, burn! Do y'all get that joke? Do y'all not get that baseball joke?
Yeah, he finally apologized the other day.
Oh, damn! I thought that was funnier than what it was. I was trying to, make a Stephen A. shot at being ignorant, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I digress. So then after that, I have McManus tells them about the job. And then Dean Keaton's like, nah, I left the life. And they're like, you, Dean Keaton leaving the life? That's a joke. And then he goes, tell him about the fucking job, about how McManus has this guy in the 14th. and they're gonna hit them. They're gonna hit the New York taxi service, and what the New York taxi service is a bunch of corrupt cops picking up rich people, drug lords, crime lords from the airport and bringing them where they want to go for a fee. They're gonna hit that, but that's the plan at first. It changes a little bit later, and the next scene I have after that is my love for Giancarlo Esposito as the FBI trying to figure out what happened in present day.
Yeah, so this was what kind of threw me, was I couldn't figure out what was present. Like, obviously the cops are in present day, but I couldn't figure out the timeline of like when the NY, taxi service happened, and like obviously that's after the jail scene, but they don't really tell you how long after the jail scene that is.
I always think like a couple
the crew
weeks
coming together, kind of off camera almost.
Well, they come. Okay,
Kevin Spacey just shows up at his house and is like, "I need you. They're not gonna let me in without you."
They say at one point, like 6 weeks. He says when he's getting interviews, like it was 6 weeks ago. That's when it all started, or whatever. So like, I assume that the taxi thing happened maybe a couple weeks into that, or
that's
so.
It goes jail, taxi, meeting with Redfoot the first time, getting the second job, Saul Berg, doing Saul Berg and meeting with Redfoot again, Kobayashi, the thing with Edie Finneran, and then after that it's Boat, and then present day cops, and both Giancarlo Esposito and the Cujon stuff is happening at the same time.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So love Giancarlo as the FBI backstory. The next thing I have is Verbal story taken by the memory of scanning on the back wall when he walks in the office with Cujon and he's like, ooh, let me see what's up. Thought that was great. And then, oh man, this next one, Edie hits Dean with I love you, but the life is calling him. She's like, I'll do it for you, Dean. Let's work hard. And he's just hugging her and just staring at the guys. And McManus is like, what's up? Verbal smoking his cigarette. They're like, what you gonna do, Brian? And she's like, I love you, Dean. Huh?
He's like, yeah, all right. Gives her a kiss on the forehead, and then it's back to the life.
Just straight back. Do y'all have any scenes that I missed, or y'all can go with your scenes you have next?
No, I'm trying to catch up where we're at.
Oh, okay. I can keep going because this movie's weird because there's so much flashing forward and stuff. There's like the scenes drag on, but like they're all one thing. It's not a bunch of vignettes like some of these other movies. So, but I thought that was hilarious. Poor Edie Finneran just getting played by Dean. The next thing I have is I guess you could say Verbal's meetup with Dean. I didn't write that one down. It was just like whatever. But where he gets punched and they have that heart-to-heart conversation, whatever, Verbal and Dean. But the next thing I have is they robbed the NYPD taxi service and set up the NYPD to get back because Dean was an ex-cop. I love like some of these backstories of these characters.
Yeah, and his backstory takes like a really big part in the whole thing because like it shows why the cops wanted him so bad and like why they were so focused on him more so than like the other people of the crew.
That's a fact.
So, like it makes a lot of sense, especially going through the rewatch. Like, oh yeah, that's why they wanted him so bad.
And like the fact that he had Edie Finneran with him, and the fact that Cujon says like he faked his death, and then that's why in the beginning he's like, it was y'all's mistake, it wasn't mine. But you don't know that until the end when you find out, oh shit, the cops, he was a corrupt cop, and then they were chasing him. He kills the witness so he doesn't have to go to jail that long, and then fakes his death and doesn't end up going to jail at all, and gets off. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job of, not like, I think if you were to identify anyone as the audience in this, it would almost be the cops. Because like the cops are trying to figure out what's going on just as much as the audience are trying to figure out what's going on. And I really like, I guess to get like really, wide scope here, one of the reasons I really like movies and TV in general is just thinking about what the writers are thinking about while they're planning these things out. I thought it was genius, like to have the the whole misdirection throughout the entire movie of not only trying to figure out who Kaiser Soze is, but also trying to figure out what's going on with Gabriel Byrne's
Oh yeah,
character.
Dean Keaton.
Yeah, what's going on with him and like his connection to this whole thing. And you know, it's just total misdirection from the entire start.
I feel like the way that it was written was for the viewer to be kind of you're getting told the story by verbal, but you're Kujan.
Yeah,
You're like
yeah.
you're hearing what he's thinking, but you also got the slant that he's got. You're like, oh yeah, I'm focused in here on.
You
Dean
have
Keaton.
his slant, and then you have his idiocy of him thinking he's the smartest man in the room, and that's why when the twist happens, oh shit, Verbal's Kaiser, we're like mind blown, but that's because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, he made the classic mistake of, you know, just ruling things out way too early
Being
based
too
on
cocky.
appearances.
And there's
Yeah.
a scene that says that and I write it down. I'm not gonna jump the gun with that, but there's a scene where I'm like, bruh, you fucked up right here. Like, what are you doing? But the next thing I have is the Hungarian man tells the translator, it's Kaiser Soze. He was dying. He was, it's Kaiser Soze. And I'm just like, oh man. And Giancarlo's like, what'd you say? What's going on? And then, bro, Giancarlo Esposito could have went to jail. Because that man shouldn't have been able to translate to that woman to draw. The doctor said he wasn't able. That's fucked up, Giancarlo. Giancarlo said he didn't give a fuck, though. We're getting these notes.
Well, he also walked into a burn victim's room smoking a cigar or whatever.
It was the 90s. It was a different time. They didn't have any rules back then. But yeah, I mean, like all you got to do in that situation, if you're the translator, is just like make up some shit to tell the sketch artist. Like this guy could be describing like a 5'3" Puerto Rican dude. He's like, oh yeah, it's a white guy, balding, like black hair, skinny face.
Hilarious,
like,
man.
There's no way that holds up in court.
The Hungarian man. Oh shit. Next thing I got is Kujan threatening Verbal and about how every murderer in police will know the name Verbal Kent. I was just like, Kujan, you fucking dummy. He's like, you know this guy upstate? Yeah, I'm gonna tell him you're ratted.
It was a bit of a giveaway right there.
Mm-hmm. The quotes in this movie are amazing. Mine is tied between that one, the devil one that we're gonna get to in a little bit, and the beginning one of you cocks, hand me the keys, you cocksucking motherfucker. Like between those three lines, fucking incredible. So, all right, the next thing I got is they go meet Redfoot for the first time. Bro, Redfoot's an asshole.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I did not fuck with Redfoot. I was just like, ugh, because it's the dude from Pulp Fiction, the dude who's fucking Ving Rhames, and I'm just like, oh, this guy. I'm really fucking.
Oh yeah, that is him.
That's him.
He reminded me of like either like the kid in high school or like the band member that everybody just fucking hates because he's such a tool bag the entire time. Like clearly just thinks way too much of himself. Like the hair and the brown like leather jacket. It's like, dude, I know it's the 90s, but you still got to relax.
He's doing too much. But they get the job from Redfoot. They go rob Saul the jeweler and kill them all. I think it's a great scene. You can see Gabriel Byrne doesn't want to kill him. But then Verbal pulls the trigger, which should have been a trigger to us. Like, oh, you're Kaiser Soze, because he shot him straight in the head, dead center, and it was just like, whoa, okay.
Well, it also goes into where he's like telling Kujan later on. He's like, oh, what if I would have missed? Like, and he throws up his cripple hand, like, me pull the trigger? I'm like, dude, I just saw you freaking
drop somebody. Yeah,
just smoke this guy,
knock him the hell out. So thought that was a great scene. Then they go back to meet Redfoot, and I thought the best part of this was when Redfoot hits McManus in the eye with the cigarette, and McManus is gonna be fake tough guy, and Dean's like, calm down, bro. He's like, nah, bro, hold me back.
I feel like it was just prime casting to put Stephen Baldwin in that role, because Stephen Baldwin just like fits that personality of a character, just like in his own real life.
To T. Wait, so is that Haley's dad? Is that the one?
No, it's Alec Baldwin's brother.
I know, but is that Haley Baldwin's dad? Because Alec isn't Haley Baldwin's dad.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Oh, I thought you
I'll
knew. That's
look
the only
that up.
reason. That's the only reason why I asked. I wouldn't have brought that up if I thought for some reason I thought you knew. But yeah, love McManus. One of the better characters in this. But the next scene I have is they go meet Kobayashi, and that's where Ian thinks
Yeah,
it goes crazy.
it is her dad.
I figured. I thought so. Man, Kobayashi, what a fuck. Like
You didn't
Yeah.
like him?
I
like
liked him. He was calculated and he was real, but like, geez, what a fuck. Just my employer says you have no choice. It's like, whoa, bro, fuck out of here.
I
Hey,
thought
his
he
employer is
did
a
one of
bad
the-
man.
I thought he did one of the better acting jobs. And for a
He
while,
did.
I was convinced it was like
Him?
him who was Kaiser Soze.
Yes.
And he was just, oh, it's my boss. I can't, I'm not going to disappoint my boss. Like the classic fake butler move. Like similar to like Magnum PI. You guys have ever seen Magnum PI where like Higgins, the butler, is always talking about like, oh, Robin Masters, the famous author, like owns the estate that Magnum's staying at. And turns out, it spoil like 12 seasons worth of show for you, but turns out he's Robin Masters the whole time.
That
So
is
now
the-
you don't need to go spend God knows how many hours watching 80s runs of Magnum PI because you know the big reveal at the end. Sorry, folks at home, we didn't have a spoiler alert before that, but
it's okay.
I
I
feel
don't
like
think
many people our age are rushing out to watch Tom Selleck reruns.
I don't think too many are as well. So the next scene after I got Kobayashi, I have is the one where Verbal tells him the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And then we get the backstory of Kaiser Soze about these Hungarians, and they keep mentioning these Hungarians and what they did to Soze's family, goes in and kills them. I'd have liked to see that scene. I get you can't show it because like we can't see Soze's face, but like, I'd have liked to see Soze get Punisher style.
They show him
sort
at
of
the
showed
end.
it.
They show him like running, like or like walking towards the camera with his long hair.
Oh no! Wait. In that they don't show the flashback.
I swear they show his face in the flashback.
No.
Nah.
Because it's Gabriel Byrne playing
No, that's
Soze at that point.
That's the fake. Okay, well, that's something. That's the fake one. That's the one where my man Kujan oversteps his bounds and thinks he's smart when he's a fucking idiot. So, but this is the backstory where it's like, yo, Soze is a bad man, and Kujan has no idea what he's dealing with. Like Verbal's trying to tell him, but he doesn't want to listen. The next important scene is rest in peace to Finster. Finster got whacked. Dude just said fuck the job and just left. Like
they don't even show him like he's
leaving.
just gone. Like I wonder what happened. Like was that like an off-camera thing where he just like was like fuck this, I don't want to do this movie anymore, and they just had to write him off real quick? Like what happened with that?
I just think they just
we
did it
go
like
from,
that.
like-
It's crazy.
We go from like they're all in this room gathered around the pool table talking with Kobayashi to all of a sudden just like, oh yeah, by the way, this guy's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they said that he was like, oh yeah, he didn't want to fuck with Kaiser Soze.
And
I just don't want a part of it.
It's legitimately a plot device so we realize how serious Kaiser Soze is. That's all it is. But it's like, damn, man, you have to get rid of Finster.
Well,
like that.
and then when you think about who Kaiser Soze actually really is, you're like, oh, what actually really happened? Like, because I believe that he's the one who says, oh yeah, he didn't want to be around anymore because of Kaiser Soze.
Mm-hmm.
When like what really could happen could have been like Finster may have found something out.
Possible.
Or something along those lines, and like Kaiser Soze needed to be like,
got to get you out of here.
Potentially, yeah.
He might have found out what's really on the ship. You never
Yeah,
know.
I mean, well, if we go back to the theory that none of this is credible, then his version of events is he could be kind of just explaining away like, oh yeah, he just kind of told us he didn't want to be involved anymore, and then we found him later.
Mm-hmm. All very possible. Rest in peace to the man Finster. I feel bad for him. They was trying to bury him on the bench. Why didn't give him a Viking funeral? I was like, put him in the ocean. Let him go out there. Like, I kind of agreed with Hockney. Like, dude, don't bury him on the beach. When he starts rotting, it's gonna be over for him. Put him in the sea. Give him a Viking burial.
I don't think lighting him on fire on a wooden raft and floating him out to sea is necessarily the most inconspicuous way to bury him either.
Yeah, not too discreet.
You didn't have to take the lighting or the raft. You could have just pushed his body into the ocean and let it drift out to sea.
And Kevin Spacey's crippled ass is definitely not shooting the flaming arrow out there if that's the case.
Dude, was the funny shit was when he tries to like come in and scoop up the sand, and they're like, "Get the fuck back, bro."
I had to pause the movie because I started laughing. But if you watch, like, as they're like zooming out from that scene when they're, the discussion's over and they're all just digging, Kevin Spacey like limps up and then just flat out falls over into the hole and like starts like scooping shit out right before they cut to the next scene.
That shit was hilarious. So the next thing, which I thought might have been the best action moment in the movie, is the failed Kobayashi assassination of when they're like rigging the stuff in the lawyer's office, and then McManus is up top, splinter selling, boom, boom, silencers, takes out the two guards, and then Kobayashi's like, well, Edie Finneran's doing this case downstairs. We can kill her right now. So it's up to you guys. And Keaton's like, I don't believe you. I still don't believe Kaiser exists. So then he goes, sees like, damn, bruh, Edie Finneran. And he's like, what about your uncle, Mr. Kent? And then we'll castrate your nephew, Mr. McManus, and your father, Mr. Hockney. Bad man. Kobayashi, one of the better hitmen and assistants to villains in cinema. Got to give it to Kobayashi.
Yeah, I mean that. I was just gonna say that actor is just really good at playing that sort of role. I mean, like, what I think the most recent thing I saw him in was Inception, and he kind of plays like
similar role,
menacing, and it's just like he's just got that face.
He does. He definitely does. The next thing I have is they take the boat. And it's the big boat scene, the final scene. I love that.
That's my favorite action scene.
Oh, the boat scene?
Yeah, where McManus is going on and he's like,
that is the best. That is the best action scene. I just thought the assassination was the coolest because it was like them playing, and it was some real GTA shit. Like these dudes, like, who would win? The crew of Usual Suspects or Dom Toretto in the gang? I don't know.
If there's family involved, then our crew is in trouble.
I'm taking the crew, everything pre-Tokyo Drift. Everything post-Tokyo Drift, I'm taking family.
Family wasn't important in the first two movies.
No, fuck no. It was all about Ejectocito, cuz.
Also, are we just like Fast 9? They're just introducing Vin Diesel's brother.
Just
randomly. Like he was all about family this whole time, but just failed to mention the fact that he had a brother.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying a lot of things from the Fast and Furious franchise, but this really sent me over the edge.
That was really bad. That was really, really bad.
Now you know why the brother's upset.
Oh, shit.
Is he going to act in the same dry, just boring, monotonous way that Vin Diesel does in all of those movies?
He might be the more entertaining
it's
brother.
Cena, man. Cena's just too good. He's doing too hot. He's too hot right now.
Cena's going to do some Cena shit.
You got to listen to your director, It might be the Hayden Christensen curse.
Hopefully not, but I don't give a fuck. I'm taking the crew. I'm taking Dean. I'm taking McManus, especially since Verber's Kaiser. Like I'm taking the gang over family in the first 3 movies. Anything after Fast 5, that's a no-no. But all right, so they take the boat. Great moment. But my favorite thing on the boat is when we find out, oh shit, they're really there to kill an informant. And then the dude's like, it's Kai. No, it's him. I know it's him. It's Kaiser Soze. And then they fucking go in and they pop his ass and he's out of there. Get him going. Now, Ian, I know this might have been confusing for you when they're running from Verbal back to the boat. And it's like, wait, how's Verbal moving so fast? It's because his ass was never there, fucking liar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's, he makes up the whole, like, oh, I was hiding behind
those ropes,
the other boat, and then I went over and I found Kevin Pollak's character, whatever his character's name was, dead by the money. And then I, snuck off by the ropes and was just watching from the background. But nah, he was
Straight
Yeah,
up.
and that
on the
was
boat
and that
the
goes
whole
back to
time.
what I was
Everybody.
saying earlier, where Kujan's like, "Didn't you have a gun? Like you saw him? Like, did you not shoot him?" It's like, well, what if happens if I miss?
Like, what happens if I miss?
Fucking man, Kaiser would have killed his ass, but Kaiser's killing his ass anyway. So it's like, Kujan, maybe if you actually are being a good detective, you're like, what is that? But he can't do anything. That's another thing. Kujan can't do anything right now because Verbal has immunity. So unless he can prove that he's not verbal and he's actually Kaiser Soze, he can't do anything per se. But the next thing after Kaiser kills everybody that I have is everybody gets taken out, but Verbal and Kujan. And it's like not, and Kujan's like, nah, it's Keaton. It's Keaton. You don't know what you're talking about, Verbal. He's not your friend. It's Keaton. And I was like, bruh, you fucking dummy. It wasn't fucking Keaton. Like, how did he? Okay, so if Kaiser Soze is this big international guy, and you're Kujan, and you know Keaton is an ex-cop, how is he Kaiser Soze? Like,
Well,
that
he
makes,
doesn't think that Kaiser Soze exists. He thinks that it's all made up.
he thinks
Yeah,
it's
he
all
thinks
made up
Keaton
and
has
it's
just been lying to him the whole time.
Mm,
Yeah, he
yeah.
thinks he thinks this is just another way for Keaton to fake his own death again.
Okay,
He,
now
he
that's
staged
fair.
his death.
'Cause I was like,
for,
bruh.
for
He even says
Verbal
so. He's
to
like,
see.
he says Soze's a myth. It's all Keaton.
Yeah, he's like, that's why he left you
Mm.
alive. That's why he told you to stay off the boat so you could come back and like tell everybody that he's dead.
Okay.
Which at the time I was like, okay, this is making sense. Like, this is a good way to end it. Like, Verbal finally realizes that, he's kind of the dummy in this whole thing. And he just got played by Keaton, who's an expert at doing this, after having faked his own death so many times and getting rid of all the witnesses. And so at that point, it's like, okay, well, shit, this is just how it ends. Like, Keaton's probably out there somewhere and Verbal's going to die as soon as he walks out of the police station.
And he's like,
Because
I'm no
Keaton's about to
rat.
come back and kill him.
He's like,
Yeah,
I'm
and he's
no
like, you know
rat. I'm
what?
just gonna
I'll
die.
take
I'm
my
just gonna
chances,
dip.
man.
Yeah, I'm outie.
Yeah.
And then as he's outie, it's just the best scene. He's talking to the lieutenant. Kujan's drinking his coffee, laughing. Are we sure he reads all of that fast?
Well, I mean, he really just saw like the Colombian thing, like in the corner.
Oh, and then he
that big
started looking
stamp.
elsewhere, and he's like,
And then he
"Oh,
starts
that
looking
too."
around. He's like, oh, that too.
Well, the first thing they zoom in on is the like production stamp on the bottom of the
Yeah.
corkboard itself, and it says like that town in Illinois that he kept referencing.
That's
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
And so after that, he's like, "Oh," well,
And
that's
then it's the
weird. And then
Colombian
he
thing
looks
because he
around the
makes up.
board.
He makes up about the fat guy because of the lady who's there and like the names that he uses was there. And bruh, Kobayashi, the bottom of the cup was just got his ass.
The icing on the
Boom.
cake.
Dunskies. And then Giancarlo Esposito, too late, gets the sketching. Kujan's running out the building. No. And Verbal just walking with his limp and then shakes it out, starts going, just walking normal. Lights his cig, smokes it, gets in the car, dips out. Final scene is the greatest trick the devil ever played was pretending that he didn't exist. And look,
He
great
gave him the
movie.
Trae Young shoulder shake at the
Yeah,
three-point
man.
line.
You know,
and
he gave
stepped
him the
off
little
into the
Uzi,
night.
he gave him the little Uzi shoulder shake, like shake that shit out. Had to shake it out, bro. When he started wiggling his foot, I was like, yo.
Yeah, that's one of those crazy movie moments. Like like when you see it the first time, and then that happens, you're like, boom, whoa. You're like, that whole thing, that whole movie I just watched was all bullshit.
Mhm.
And that's the twist. And then
And it's over, and you're left with nothing. But that's why it's better on rewatch because it's like, oh shit, you get to see all of these things leading up to that, and then when the ending happens, it's like, bravo, well done. So this movie's great. I'm excited to see what y'all rank it and where it ends up on the Run It Back poll. Like number one is still The Godfather, I believe.
It's not going to get beat.
I don't think
I'm going to purposely downrate all movies so The Godfather never gets beat.
You can't do that.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Hubert, why would you say something like that? That's irresponsible of you.
But I don't think it's gonna beat that either. Do y'all have any other scenes that I missed? Any things you want to point out before we get to the rest of the stuff?
No, we're gonna talk about quotes, right?
If you want, if you got any quotes you got, let's say them off. I already said my three.
The quote that I really liked was, "I believe in God, and the only thing that scares me is Kaiser Soze."
That was a good one. That when everybody and then Kobayashi was like, "Mr. Kent, why don't you ask your compatriots? The mood of the room has changed. They obviously know." I love that moment as well because Kobayashi was just a bad man. But I think the best quote of the movie, I'm torn because obviously the devil one is great, but I really like, "I'm going to call all the ex-cops, all the people I locked up, the murderers, and they're going to know the name Verbal Kint." Kujan is just a fuck, bro. I love that quote. That was awesome. Ian,
I thought Stephen Baldwin had a really great quote as well when he's up on the roof with the sniper and he's counting all the men that he's going to have to shoot if he's got to take out all of these guys. And he's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he goes, Oswald was and then insert slur for gay men here. But I thought that was not only a good quote, but it kind of like time dates the movie. Like that would not fly in today's movies.
No, not at all. Not at all. Especially using Oswald and the gay slurs. Just like I said, McManus, a bad dude. Dude. But great movie, great quotes. All right, who you got?
I think, sorry, before we go, I think an interesting conversation to have would be, what can we point to in this movie that we know for sure happened?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, we can do that real
quick. We know the police lineup happened.
Yeah.
Because the police have a record of that. You know, they called them all in there for whatever crime.
Mm-hmm. I think the NYPD taxi stuff happened. Yep.
Because they could go back and, fact check that. Obviously, that would make the national news for days, if not weeks.
I think the meeting with Kobayashi happened.
Wait, which one? I don't think
where he goes in and tells them the first one where he's like, yeah, like your Kaiser Soze wants you to do this job.
Because see, I don't think the second one happens. I think they just killed Edie Finneran. Because you remember at the end they were like, "Oh, Keaton killed." No, I don't think Keaton killed Edie. I think Edie was dead, and that's what made Keaton. I think Edie and Finster were the two people that died, which forced them to do the job at the boat. I think the boat happened too, but I don't think that the assassination attempt that I love, I don't think that happened. And maybe the Saul Berg death might not have happened either.
Maybe.
Potentially. Well, I mean, he confesses about the Saul Berg stuff to the cop that he's being interrogated by, right? He brings that up. Yeah, verbal
brings that up. That's why I'm like, I don't know if this happened, because then he lies about who shoots him.
Well, and did he say that he shot him?
No, he didn't. He said someone else shot him. He said he got killed, but he didn't say it was him.
Fair enough. I think we can point to that and say that happens, because that's another thing. It happens,
but it might not have happened that way. It might have just been Verbal just taking him out himself.
Fair enough. Yeah, maybe nobody else was even there.
Now, what do you think didn't happen? Because I like I said, the second meeting I don't think happened. And
I don't think any of that shit with Redmond or Redford or whatever that guy.
Oh, with Redfoot? You don't think any of that?
I don't think any of that shit happens. Yeah. Obviously the story about him being in Illinois and, the one about him being in Guatemala grinding coffee beans, none of that should ever happen. That was just background filler to, waste time, basically, throw the cop off his trail.
Okay, so damn. So, okay, so see, I think the lineup happened, but I think the lineup happened without Verbal.
No, I mean the police would be able to look back and say, yeah, all of these guys were. Yeah,
he was there. True. I just don't know how Verbal was in jail with Keaton.
He put himself there.
You think he just put himself there and was like, "Fuck it, I'm going here to get this info on this guy, spying on him, trying to see what's up with him because he stole from me." Possible.
Well, because Kobayashi's explanation for that in their first meeting was like, yeah, Kaiser Soze, used his connections to lean on the police to get you guys all in that room.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why. Because Verbal says the only reason why I'm able to do this job is because you know me. You're the only person that knows me, and I'm like, how does he?
No, because so in the jail scene, they make the reference that Gabriel Byrne's character knows Kevin
Verbal, he
Spacey's
met.
character
Yeah,
because
he met him.
they did time
They
together.
did time in
They
jail.
did like
Yep.
so that's why he's asking Byrne to get him into the group.
And that's why I'm like,
But
how was Kaiser in jail? Like, what was this? That's
well,
my
if
question.
nobody knows that he's Kaiser Soze, then he doesn't
True.
have to worry about anything, right? If nobody can identify Kaiser Soze, he hasn't been seen in
He's just Verbal Kent.
decades.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. Fair enough. All right. Yeah. So Ian thinks that none of that Redford stuff happens. I think the assassination scene didn't happen. Schubert, you got any that you think didn't happen?
Didn't happen. I don't think like the burial of Fenster happened because obviously I think
Ooh.
like that was
That's a good
just more
He was
cold blooded than anything.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see the again. It didn't make sense to me because Hockney made the great point. It's not a. They would have found him in a couple days, which Soze doesn't want to happen. So I'm with you on that. All right,
Yeah.
let's get to one of the controversial ones. Who won the movie? I'll start with you, Ian. Who you got? Who won the movie?
Well, it's got to be Kaiser Soze, right?
Yeah, if you're going character, sure. He's the big.
Oh, you
winner.
always do this with the actor.
He always does.
I'm giving it to Chris McQuarrie.
I don't
man.
know all
Dude.
the background about what happened in fucking 1995. I was 0 years old when this movie came out. I was not paying attention to the pop culture or whose career split off where from here. I mean, obviously, if you want to say Kevin Spacey won the movie or
I'm not giving it to that guy.
Benicio del Toro won the movie or whatever, Stephen Baldwin for whatever happened in his career next, sure. I'm talking about what happened in the plot. I think Kaiser Soze won the movie.
Oh, for sure, 100%. There's legitimately no one else who won. Maybe you could say Kobayashi won just because his man's okay, but like it's 100% Kaiser Soze because Cujon and the police didn't win. Maybe you can give Giancarlo a little win that he knows his face, but I don't know. That's a loss to me still. So yeah, I'm with you. Okay, you got Kaiser Soze winning. Schubert, who you got winning?
Kaiser Soze, I mean, he definitely is the main winner, but I guess if I had to look outside of that, let me look real quick at was this like Benicio del Toro's like first big role? Because I don't remember him in a movie before that.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
Okay,
see.
he started on TV in the 80s. This was his big movie, his first big movie.
This is a win for him.
Yeah, so I would say that
He was in a James Bond movie before that, right? License to Kill.
he was in that, but I don't know how big a role.
Fair enough.
And he was swimming he was in Swimming with Sharks, but again, like she said, it was a small role. This was his first big role because in Swimming with Sharks, that's where he met Kevin Spacey, which ended up getting him this movie because Kevin Spacey liked how he acted. But I'm giving it to Chris McQuarrie. Dude was an Oscar-winning screenwriter, sets up his career. Dude rattles off all of the major Mission Impossible movie wins. I gotta give it to him. Schubert, is he overrated? Like, just quick question.
Dude, we're talking about McQuarrie.
Yeah,
In my personal opinion, I'd probably say yeah.
just a little overrated.
Yeah, because like, I mean, he really has come up recently with like doing the MI movies.
But from The Usual Suspects, and like he did NYPD Blue, which got him Usual Suspects. But after that, it's the Underworld TV movie. His next big thing is Persons Unknown, which was
I'd say Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Valkyrie's not bad.
He was on a team for that one. He wasn't like like Jack Reacher. He wrote and directed Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and Fallout. He wrote and directed.
And Edge of Tomorrow he wrote, which I fuck with. Great movie. But he might be a little overrated. He is a Tom Cruise writer, but he writes some of Tom Cruise's best stuff. Like in Mission Impossible, Fallout's great. Rogue Nation's great. Edge of Tomorrow's great. He had a miss with The Mummy. Jack and the Giant Slayers. Jack Reacher's pretty good. And Valkyrie's all right. Persons Unknown is solid. So yeah, I could see you saying Chris McQuarrie is overrated. Is this his peak? Is this like the best for him?
Right now, probably, yeah.
Right now is his peak, yeah, right now, but this is his best work. Gotta be.
This is his best work. I mean, he probably wouldn't be doing what he is doing now
Without this.
yeah.
Yeah, facts. All right, who lost the movie? Who's the biggest loser? I'm leaning towards one person. I know who fucking lost this movie. The loser of this movie is Edie Finneran. She told that man she loved him, that she was willing to fight for him. She was willing to go do everything for him, and he got her killed. Shame on you, Gabriel Byrne. Shame on you. Edie, you were just trying to be a good defender and make your money. You tangled with the wrong guy. He conned you out of love. You gave him a place to stay, and he got you killed. Edie,
I don't buy that at all.
Loser.
I'm not subscribing to that theory at all. 0% do I think Edie is the loser. First of all, sir, she is like the most background, non-background character, if that makes sense. Like, of all of the characters that we talk about in this movie, she has like the smallest role. So I'm not ready to call her the loser of the film, because that implies she's of great importance to the film, which I don't think is the case.
Well, they couldn't have gotten the informant here without her. She got the informant here, able to extradite him. So she's a crux in this movie. She's a big like fulcrum.
According to the story that we don't know is true.
Exactly.
Yeah, allegedly she got the guy to come here.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, love is a two-way street, my friend. He wasn't holding a gun to her head and making her say, I love you. She offered that willingly.
He was scamming.
And he didn't respond. And then she said it again. Like that, at that point, if you're like, oh, I love you. And he's like, like, that's the point where you slap him in the face and be like, look, guy, you got to figure your shit out. We're going to take a break for a few weeks.
That's why she's a loser, Ian. That's why she lost.
She's a loser, but not the loser.
Okay, who is the loser?
I'm saying the loser is Kuyan, the cop.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
He's just getting swindled from the start.
He definitely takes a fat L. All of this is an L for him.
You got one of the most notorious criminal, underworld
right there
people in your office.
You can take him to jail and you let him go. Facts. Yeah, Kujan's a big loser.
That's not going to look good at the morning meeting the next day that the police have before they go out on their assignments.
Is there any room to say Finster lost just because they killed him off screen? Like, he wasn't even important enough to kill on screen. Who do you think lost, Shuby? I'm trying to think of some others because Kujan is a great answer.
Kujan is the primary answer of who was the loser. Maybe you could say Hungarians in general.
They lost. Losers. They took a L. They took a fat L. The Argentinians took fat L's. Just came over and died. Let's see who else.
I could also see Keaton as the loser because he wants to get out of the life. He wants to go clean. He wants to marry, this chick, or maybe he wants to marry her. He wants to at least, explore the idea of dating this chick.
He tried everything and took a L.
Just when he thought he was out, they pulled him back in.
Facts. All right, so Ian's going with Kujan. I'm going with Edie Finneran. I'm staying to my guns. She told it. I couldn't get over that, bro. I'm watching this early in the morning before I go to work, and I just hear her say, I love you. I'm like, all right, let's see what he says. He just keep looking with his mean, like, this is why she lost. He's looking with this mean ass face across the street at McManus going, what's up? And this girl is telling him, I love you. And like, he's looking at Verbal, smoke a cigarette, like, I'm coming meet y'all. Don't worry. I'm coming. That's some fuck shit, bro. Like, you're professing your love to this guy, hugging him. And this dude's sitting here, not even looking at you, looking up, going, I see you, Hockney. Coming over there soon. Don't worry. Coming to the life. Crazy. Then he gets her killed. Like, you should have left that dude right then and there. When he didn't say I love you, you should have left his ass. But no.
But would she have been safe at that point?
Maybe. She might have.
Don't you think
Kobayashi just need only reason why they used her. But the only reason why they used her was because It was just someone that he loved. I guess they might have tracked her down thinking that he loved her, but you could have just threatened his life.
Well, are we sure that that scene in in the office building even happened?
That's the one that I don't think happened.
Yeah.
So in that case, Edie Finneran was probably already dead by the time.
But see, I think that's what I'm saying. I think
they pulled that boat heist.
Because of him, because of his ass to convince him to do the boat heist, they killed her. Boom, he's doing the boat heist. Big loser, Edie Finneran, but the real loser is Kujan, but my loser is Edie
I want
Finneran.
the people who are watching this to post in the comments below and tell us if Lyndon has ever given a good winner and loser take.
My winner and loser. Wait. My winner and loser
how many
takes.
How many
are
more
the
reviews
best.
do they think it will be until Lyndon gives a good winner and loser take?
This is the first
The
winner and
all-time-
loser you won, Ian. This is the first one you won in all of these movies we've done. 9 times out of 10, I win. I'd give Schubert second place.
We're gonna go back and check the tapes on that one. That's a bold claim.
They'll let us know.
All I know is that my pick for Connie being the loser of Godfather was top tier.
That's what I'm saying. Schubert comes in with some clutch ones sometimes. Some clutch
I don't think-
ones.
I don't think that was Schubert's take, but we can give that to Schubert. I think Schubert might be reaching into the Ian bag for that one, but that's okay.
Ian take, if anything, that's a Lyndon joke. Haha, Connie, you big loser.
Which is why your takes are bad, because she was the loser.
She lost, bro. She fucking lost. I agree with you. Good
She
take.
definitely didn't win. She did
All
not
right.
win.
Let's get to sixth man of the movie. Now, this one is where I can say I'm questionable sometimes, but I'll start with Schubert. Schubert, who's the sixth man of this movie?
Six man.
Sixth man of this movie of Usual Suspects. I'm looking at the cast right now. Now, would we say the
Kobayashi.
starters? Is Kobayashi a sixth man?
He's not in the main crew.
Well, I guess who's the starting five at that point? Are we considering
The
Kuyan
main
part of
crew.
the starting five?
Kuyan's definitely starting five.
Yeah.
So so who are you leaving out from the five? Are you leaving
Finster.
out Finster?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you got to leave out Finster.
Yeah.
Finster. You can.
He
you can
stutters
make-
a couple times and then he dies on the beach.
See, I was
That's
gonna
really
make
his role.
I was gonna make the argument that the big five is Kujan, McManus, Keaton, Verbal. I wasn't gonna put Hockney in it. I was gonna put Kobayashi in the starters with Hockney as a role player off the bench. Him
not mad
and
at that.
Finster.
Yeah. I mean, it's interchangeable. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Kobayashi is like that six man guy because
All
like
right.
he's still not part of the main crew, but he is like the biggest primary character outside of that and outside of the cops.
That all right. I'm not mad at that. Ian, who's your sixth man?
I was going to
Or
say
woman.
Kobayashi as well. I was going to say the main five is McManus, Keaton, Hockney, Kent, and Kuyan.
Kujan. Yeah, Kuyan.
Yeah. And then you leave Fenster out. And then, Kobayashi is the sixth man candidate at that point.
there-
I could see Giancarlo
So I was gonna say,
Esposito's
is there any
Agent Buyer if you didn't want to pick
He's like
Kobayashi.
the eighth man.
He's like I guess you could call that kind of like a B plot, like the whole thing with the Hungarian guy in the hospital.
That's a big part. That's like that's like one of the time factors. So how we know.
I mean, he's
these
getting
guys
minutes.
are-
He's getting minutes, but like he's not getting like Kobayashi minutes.
He's getting buckets. Yeah, he's not getting Kobayashi buckets. That's a fact. Am I
He's
crazy
getting-
for thinking
He's getting
Jeff
those Frank
Rabin?
Minsky minutes.
Can I give any love to Jeff Rabin? Is like the sergeant, like Kuyan. We shouldn't be doing this. we should not be doing this right now, Kuyan. He has
All that
immunity.
guy does is go grab them coffee and then listen to the task cam in the other room. That guy's not even
That's
close.
all he does.
He's not even. He's sitting on the other end of the bench, like off in the corner, back in the COVID section with the guys who don't take off their warm up clothes.
Man, shout out to my guy, Dan Hedaya. When we do Zodiac, I'm going to push for you to get sixth man again. I am pro Dan Hedaya. Shout out to you. I'm telling you, we're going to do whatchamacallit, Zodiac. I'm going to have a good push for it. But the real push I'm going to have is Blood Simple if we ever do that.
That's what I was about to say. I was like,
Man.
whenever I see Dan Hedaya, I think of him in Blood Simple, Clueless, and then
You
this
think of
movie that
Clueless?
yeah,
You don't
and
think of Zodiac?
well, I don't really remember his role in
He's
Zodiac
one of
as
the
much as I do.
cops.
But the other one is this 1999 movie I saw called Dick, and it's him playing Richard Nixon. That's like whenever I see him, I'm like, oh my gosh, Richard Nixon from that stupid ass movie with Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams.
But yeah,
So it's
no,
a
he is
comedy
in
film about Watergate. Oh, that sounds awful.
he is
Oh,
in Blood Simple.
the movie Dick is Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams are these two ditzy teenage girls and Michelle Williams' character falls in love with Richard Nixon, and they like somehow got to meet Richard Nixon and get in the White House, and like they pretty much break out of the Watergate scandal, and like they live at Watergate or something like that.
It's
just
trash.
Like it's bad. It's bad.
Trash.
I won't
But
waste my time.
okay. So I guess Six Man, y'all are right. It's Kobayashi. I can't give it to Giancarlo because Schubert's right. Giancarlo was getting buckets, but he was getting them Cameron Payne buckets, not the Cam Johnson buckets, or not the Lou Will buckets. So I got to give it to Kobayashi. Okay. So we got our winners, our losers, our Six Man. Is that everything? Y'all got anything else y'all want to add?
No, that's about it. I mean, I'm just so glad that we got to revisit this movie because it is a pretty good one, and you kind of forget, like what I mentioned with Benicio, you forget that he's in this, and you kind of see the stardom that's come out of him, and now Giancarlo as well. Like just be like these are like their humble or beginnings. Where Giancarlo was like in stuff in the '80s too.
That's a fact. Now I want to ask you: is what's the score 1 through 10? Let's get it. Let's get our rankings. I'll start with you, Schubert. What you got? Give me a number 1 through 10.
8-6.
8-6. Oh, that's solid. That's solid. All right, Ian, what you got?
I was gonna say 8-7.
8-7. Okay. 8-6 plus 8-7.
I was gonna say 8-6 is kind of making me hesitate with that.
I was gonna say 8-9. So
it's better than his IMDb rating.
I was gonna say 8-9, but that's because of why that's that. Divided by 3.
Well, it's got the same IMDb rating as The Departed. So do that as you.
The run it back score of this movie for us is 8.73 repeating, putting it somewhere along the lines of Pulp Fiction, around that 8.4. See, we gotta redo. Y'all make me sick thinking that this show has Pulp Fiction at an 8.4, but Usual Suspects is at an 8.7. And that's no disrespect to Usual Suspects. I love this fucking movie. But Pulp Fiction
is better than Pulp Fiction.
But you want to say my takes are bad? Get on your ass, fans. Get on his ass. Giving Pulp Fiction the reason why it has an 8.4 is because of Ian. But shout out to Usual Suspects, 8.73 in the range where it should be. Wonder what we're gonna do next. Oh yeah, well Ian hasn't seen Zodiac. That's what we're doing next. Like we're doing these are for us. We're gonna go bring the poll back after Zodiac. After Zodiac, we'll bring the poll back. But that's a great movie.
I guess we have to space out the Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, we can't do 7 right after this.
There's a pun there somewhere.
We gotta.
I mean, we did the polls for a while. We deserve it.
Yeah, we got to do Zodiac, and then after that, then we'll maybe bring back the polls, and because we can't do 7 after Zodiac. We got to wait a little bit, and then after that, we can't bring L.A. Confidential in for a while, even though that's a great movie. That's a great Guy Pearce performance.
We should probably down the line consider doing a horror movie.
Oh yeah, you're right. We could do that. After
I guess
Zodiac.
we could do that in October or something.
Or we could wait till October and do all horror. Just save it for 1 month of the year. Give them like 3 big eps that month.
Because I mean, like you can do all sorts of stuff of horror. You can do like Scream. You can do like Alien, technically a horror.
I also got to get y'all to watch an old movie again. We've only done one old movie, which is Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's time to take it back to like the 60s.
When are we doing Citizen Kane?
Rear Window.
It's either one of those two. We'll put it to a poll. Like, what classic movie you want us to do? Casablanca, Rear Window, fucking
Maltese Falcon,
North by Northwest, and fucking Citizen Kane. We'll put all those in a poll.
I don't know. I mean, we should probably throw the 70s ones in there too, because I mean, like we do Clockwork Orange, Deliverance. What's that movie with Robert Duvall? Mean Streets. The old De Niro's, Deer Hunter, Taxi Driver.
Oh, Taxi Driver's gonna be fun. That'll be a good one. We got a lot to do, man. We haven't really tapped into our Scorsese bag either. Like if any like King of Comedy, Mean Streets, there's some stuff we gotta do. But I'm glad that Fincher's next with Zodiac. It only makes sense. So y'all can watch that now to get ready for the next one. That'll probably be on like 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks because it's free on Amazon Prime right now, so we don't have to pay for anything. So that's better. About 2 weeks you'll get Zodiac, and it'll be fun because I'll get to gush over Jake Gyllenhaal and just secret casting in that. Do y'all remember Minkus from Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
Minkus is the opening death in that movie. So it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just shout out to Minkus. He's also Mouth in One Tree Hill.
I was about to say, I was like, I'm glad that you said Boy Meets World and not
yeah,
One
bro. My
Tree
girlfriend
Hill.
always gets mad at me when I'm like, when he comes on screen, I'm always like, "What's up, Minkus?" And she's like, "That's Mouth." I'm like, I'm not calling him fucking Mouth. His name is Minkus, bro. Like, dude was Corey and Sean's nerd. Like, that's fucking Minkus.
He's only in like the first 2 seasons.
Of Boy Meets World.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. But then it's crazy that his character Mouth is really like Minkus. But we're going on a tangent. We'll save this for Zodiac. All right, Ian, tell the people they can find you on social media to get some more of these shaky takes.
Unbelievable. This is coming from the guy who never. Okay, well, my Twitter is IanBWT. My Instagram is IanHawley12. You can find links to my music at both of those places. I've been working on some new music lately. I'm planning on putting something out in the next like month or so here. So go check that out if you like slow, sensual R&B songs.
Definitely check that out. I'm excited. And also, Ian doesn't have shaky takes. That's just me throwing shots at him. Y'all go follow him. And he has great takes.
You don't have to worry about bruising my ego, Lyndon. My head is far too big for that.
Schubert, tell the people where they can follow you at on social media.
You can find me at Twitter and Instagram at aschubert14, Bros Who Binge. Believe
it's gonna be out by the time they hear this.
Yeah, so you can listen to the one that already came out. We're talking about Loki finale, Dave. So
that's one of my favorite segments we do. Like, I hope that there's some women out there that skip through all of Bros Who Binge and just goes to the end for the Bachelorette talk. Like, in my head,
we gotta start promoting it. I suppose we gotta be like, hey, watch
the
Bachelorette takes.
We can make it like a separate video. We'll talk about that after. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all go follow both my guys.
Yeah. Or I was gonna say you could also follow my letterbox at AdamBWT. I'll say it on here for people that don't want to listen to the Bros Who Binge. Last stuff I put out there: Love and Monsters, Fear Street Part 1. I'm probably gonna do Part 2 here in a little while. And Willy's Wonderland, the Nick Cage, where he fights all the animatronic Chuck E. Cheese.
Ooh, I want to watch Pig this week.
Oh, Pig. Yeah, Pig comes out this week. That's true. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And also our last running back, Mask of the Phantasm, I reviewed on Letterboxd.
Nice. The last thing I reviewed on Letterboxd was Grand Budapest Hotel and fucking Black Widow. Yeesh, what a bad Marvel movie. But all right, yeah, you can follow me at LinBWT, follow Bros Who Think at Bros Who Think. Be sure to check out all of our content. Until next time, make sure you watch Zodiac because that's the thing we're reviewing next. Until then, have a good one. We'll see you soon. For Ian, for Schubert, my name is Lyndon. You have a good one. Peace.